Good evening, good morning, and whatever time of day it is you're watching this. This is Jim, Stable Topics, and today is September 26, 2024. Okay, I got a whole different, well, the same format, but less Jim, more video. Okay, so I got like 45 minutes of videos, and you're only going to get 15 minutes of me. So I got to budget my time really, really good here. Like I said, it's September. We have the election coming up in November. So, you know, everybody's in their bubbles, everybody's in their camp, and you know, I don't know what to tell you folks, but the world is changing. We're on the verge, you know, we're on the threshold of World War III. The current administration, which I really don't know who's running the country. I don't know if you know who's running the country. I mean, Kamala has, you know, Vice President Harris has, you know, said that Joe's on the top of his game and he's running everything and everything is great, but he hasn't even had a cabinet meeting in who knows how long. And then they finally had one, and Jill was running it. And again, Joe's at the beach. Who's making all these decisions? We don't know. Oh, Lord have mercy on us. So at any rate, we just need to focus on what's happening. So again, I got two videos. They're going to be only one of them is going to be 18 minutes, and that's going to talk about woke. And all this institutionalized woke DEI and all this stuff, corporations are starting to back away from it. In case you haven't noticed, I mean, if you're living in the mainstream media bubble, you're not hearing that companies are just saying, we've had enough of this. This is counterproductive. It's counterproductive. It does not help our employees. It doesn't help our corporation. It doesn't help our bottom line. It's actually hurting everything. But yet there are people that are doubling down on woke, because like Grease was the word in the 50s, woke is the word right now, and it's dying, okay? It's over. But they just haven't told you yet, okay? But what we have people in this very town that are doubling down on the woke agenda, Beacon Hill, woke agenda, the Washington, D.C. woke agenda. We just can't get away from it. There's no escape, so. This 17-minute, 18-minute video is Mike Huckabee talking to a guy named Craig Campbell, and he's going to talk about the first 10 minutes are about woke corporations and how he dealt with the woke corporations and woke, and then the school issues, which, Lord have mercy on the kids. Lord have mercy. We have to stop this stupidity. This guy, I've been, you know, me and others like me have been screaming. No one's listening. This guy kind of consolidates, and there's a movie and a video. You're going to have to get out of your bubble, people, and find out what's really happening. But, okay, so I will give you a quick good news, because I only got a minute. The good news is God loves you. I love you. Jesus came specifically, as prophesied in the Bible, to come and be the Messiah and die for the sins of the world, which he did at the cross. And then 3 days he rose on Easter Sunday according to the scriptures. And that's the good news. The good news is very simple. Jesus came, he died for our sins. We just have to recognize the fact that we are all sinners. Yes, hi, my name is Jim. I'm a sinner. And, you know, I'm not perfect. I know that. And I may even be less perfect than most. But at least I admit it, and I try to do better, and I try not to get into it. But at any rate, that's the good news. Jesus is just waiting for you to meet him at the cross where it all began, and just admit and meet him there. That's all. It's that simple. That's what Christianity is all about. Trying to, you know, meet Jesus, find out where we're gone wrong, and have a relationship. So, yeah, cue up the tape, because we only got 3 seconds. Let's just watch this, and then we'll talk when it's done.
Well, these days, it may seem like DEI mandates are a foregone conclusion. Its messages are all around us. But Robbie Starbuck is standing up to corporate America, and he has scored a number of victories for meritocracy. He's become one of my real honest-to-goodness heroes for his successful effort to call out these abuses of customers and stockholders, and he's made them just get their businesses back to their real business. This summer, major companies like Ford Motor, Lowe's, Harley-Davidson, John Deere, and Tractor Supply have ditched detrimental DEI policies and it is all thanks to my first guest. Please give a real all-American welcome to Robbie Starbuck, all-star producer and host of The Robbie Starbuck Show. I wasn't kidding when I said, you're a hero, dude. I don't know if you realize that, but you're getting something done that all members of Congress haven't been able to get done.
Well, they're not getting much done lately.
They're not getting anything done. You know, the whole idea of the diversity, equity, inclusion has been a real stain on business, and it's like an insult to a lot of Americans who just want to go in and do their shopping, buy a product, and go home. And yet some of these companies are shoving down the throats of every American policies. What was it that made you say, I'm going to do something about this?
Well, you know, my wife Landon and I initially got a hold of that story about Vanderbilt's pediatric transgender clinic.
Yeah.
And after that happened, a number of people saw us as a trustworthy source to go to when they needed to blow the whistle. One of those people worked at Tractor Supply. And so they said, listen, I don't recognize the company anymore. You need to see this stuff. And to be really candid with you, I didn't believe what they sent me at first was real. So my team goes and we verify it and we realize, oh my gosh, if this is real, we need to pull this thread, because if it's happening at Tractor Supply, it's happening everywhere. And we were correct. It was happening all over the place. But Tractor Supply was the first one, and it was personal for me because I own cattle, I've got chickens, I take my kids to Tractor Supply every week.
Yeah.
And so I realized essentially I'm helping this company fund pride shows in my own town, in my own state of Tennessee, and I'm not okay with that and all this stuff being exposed to kids. So I don't think the other people going in are okay with it either. I'm going to shine a light on it, and we'll let customers make the decision. Because you see, these companies, all the ones you named and many others, I think they came at this from, you know, sort of the idea that their customers were not smart enough to figure this out. You see, I come from a very different place. I think people are actually pretty smart, and if you give them the information, they're going to use it, and they're going to use their wallets as a weapon.
Well, I was just shocked, and you were the first person that ever told any of us that Tractor Supply was funding some of this nonsense. And I'm like you, you know, my wife's got some chickens. Tractor Supply is a great company.
Yep.
And I've owned stock in Tractor Supply because I thought that's a well-run company. It's about rural America, about the values that I share. And then I find out that they were doing this stuff, but they apologized when you exposed them. And here's to their credit. They apologized and they reversed course. And I think as much as we need to say this is wrong that you do it, we need to applaud them and thank them when they decide they're going to do the right thing. And they did.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I couldn't agree more, because the thing is, you know, with Tractor Supply specifically, they were the first one, too. That's no small deal. In corporate America, this complex of fear had spread. So there was this belief among companies that if you go back on this stuff, you're toast.
Yeah.
And so they were really the first one, the canary in the coal mine, to test this theory out that, hey, actually, you're going to be okay. And they didn't just say, we're sorry. They did a full-scale reversal. No DEI, no wokeness. They're going back to what American companies used to be. Companies that just do their job, they do their business. That's it. Provide great service, and people are going to reward you for it, right? And what happened is the market rewarded them. Their stock actually went up after they announced they were pulling back from all this stuff.
Which is, I think, such a significant thing. Once that happened, you found other companies, and you also went to their executives. You were very thorough. You'd done your research. You didn't just go on a wild hair and say, if you don't do this, we're going to, protest your headquarters. So talk to us about what the strategy was getting to the executives, to the decision makers, because there's no point going in yelling at the clerk at the store. How did you get through to them? What did you say to them that caused them to reverse, whether it was Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley Davidson, Ford Motor, Lowe's? Because all of these big companies, they responded to what you did.
See, each one was a little different, and we actually go a lot deeper than people realize. We even go as far as to sort of look at the background of each executive and board member and kind of get a psychological profile on really where they're at. Are they a true believer in this stuff? Or are these people that were just affected by the PR and HR people straight out of college that are essentially trained Marxists, and they're there to spread this woke virus? And so each one's different. You know, in the case of Harley Davidson, their CEO is a true believer. He's actually the guy who founded the B Team with Richard Branson, which is an explicitly purposed organization to spread this stuff throughout global corporations. That's what they want, is new leaders who see corporate America as a function to spread their ideology. So in that case, we actually had to go with more of the heavy-handed approach where it was, we're going to make sure everybody knows. We had over 500 million impressions on that story, and by the time we hit Sturgis, the biggest biker rally in the country, you know, their tents were empty. They had to close their tents down 2 days early because they were so embarrassed by the fact that nobody was showing up. It was a ghost town. And so they really had no choice but to go back on all these policies and reverse themselves. But then there's the companies now. They've seen the great success we've had, you know, with each one of these companies. And we're having real conversations now about the state of corporate America in the future. And it looks something like this. You can either stick with this stuff, where the left is demanding that you use your company as an activist tool for their belief system, or this side's asking not for you to adopt my politics, but to adopt neutrality. Yes, I'm very conservative, but I don't expect every company to be.
Yeah.
I do expect them to be neutral and not shove these woke policies down the throats of their customers and their employees.
Robbie, what you just said is the most significant thing, and I hope our audience really lets it sink in. Nobody on the conservative side is asking all these big companies to go out and support conservative causes and make a big stand and wave Christian crosses or any of that. Just sell your stupid products to us. Let us buy them if we like the products. We're buying your products, not your politics. That's what you're telling them. And I think that's brilliant because you are saying, just be a business. Serve your customers, serve your stockholders, and if your individual employees and executives want to go out and give their own personal money to one of these causes, it's their business. But don't use the money that we're giving you as customers and stockholders to insult us and call us bigots. We are back with Robbie Starbuck. Together with his wife, Landon, they have released a powerful documentary, and it exposes the ongoing battle for control of the next generation, but more importantly, their minds. I do need to say, this is a mature subject matter, and I think we should say viewer discretion is advised. Here is a look at the influence of social media on today's kids from the documentary, The War on Children.
So would you give your children social media?
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Definitely not when they're younger. I don't think under 18.
I would not give it to any child under the age of 16.
I would not allow my children to have social media. I would not let my kids have social media as well. I think that social media is not good for kids.
You know, looking at this whole landscape from social media, the Chinese influence when it comes to TikTok and AI, do you feel like this is a war on children?
I know it's a war on children. And not just from a malicious foreign adversary, but from adults in this country who are visiting very corrupt values on children, sexualizing them, and doing so in some ways for profit. I think we can all see the evidence of our eyes and our ears.
Especially so on social media.
Especially on social media. And maybe becoming a mom awakened me to this danger, and sort of the scales fell from my own eyes. But like they said, you know, we're coming for your kids.
Yeah.
And they have.
Robbie, the documentary that you and your wife, Landon, have put together is really an expose of what's happening to a lot of people's kids. But how many parents really know what's going on with their children in social media and the way that they are being exploited?
Not nearly enough, Gov. Let me tell you, when we did those focus groups with teenagers, someone could watch that clip and think maybe Robbie cherry-picked and just put the kids who said they wouldn't give social media to their kids.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we did multiple focus groups where it was, I think we did 4 all together, and there's many different kids in each of these groups. They're all separated to make sure that we don't get herd, answers where they all just agree with each other. Every single kid said they would not give it to their children because they recognized the dangers, but the thing that they really pointed out to us was how divorced parents were from the reality of what technology is capable of, that they just had no clue what was going on. We had one show us live what they did to avoid their parents' block on them being able to have social media. So they showed us how your phone can essentially have 2 different home screens, one that your parents see and then one you see. No clue. You know, and I'm fairly
Yeah.
young, okay? I'm tech savvy.
Yeah.
I had no clue that this was possible. And so how many parents out there have absolutely no clue this is going on? And the film has been, I think, so helpful in that regard to just inform parents about all the dangers, because it's not just social media. That's scratching the surface.
Yeah.
We cover gender ideology, pharmaceuticals, the worst mental health crisis kids have ever had, the politicization of kids, the sexualization of them. Like that woman you saw in that clip, she's a former Facebook executive, and she is blowing the whistle on how dangerous social media is for their kids. And she's not the only one. The vast majority of social media execs do not let their kids use social media.
I find that very fascinating. In other words, it's fine for your kids, but not ours. We don't mind your kids being corrupted by this stuff and sexualized or exploited, destroyed in terms of their own sense of self-worth because of the nasty bullying that goes on, but we're not going to let our own kids do it. And I think what a hypocrisy, what an incredible challenge. Now, this film is available on X, formerly Twitter. If Elon Musk didn't own X, this would never be allowed to be on that platform, ever. So did you get any pushback at all from it being on there?
You're absolutely right that this film would not be anywhere if not for X. Okay, so you can watch the film at thewaronchildren.com. There are multiple ways to watch it.
Okay.
But it just got banned, actually, a couple weeks ago from Amazon Prime. They banned it despite the fact that this documentary is now today, I can say, the most watched documentary of the year. We're at nearly 60 million people having watched it, which is incredible. When we started this out, there was no idea that would happen in the future. But then Elon Musk went and supported the film, and he promoted it. And that did just incredible good. So many people who are not, let's say traditionally in alignment with my politics, they watched the film with an open mind. And we got letter after letter from people saying, listen, I voted Democrat for a very long time, most of my life or all my life, and saying, but you identified these issues that I see in my own kid's life. And now I'm recognizing how politics does play a role in this. And they listed out the changes they're making in their life, as a byproduct of watching the film. So the film does more than just, speak to our own crowd. It really does this in a way where we talk to people from every side. You're hearing directly from the kids who had the double mastectomy at 13. You're hearing from the child trafficking victim telling you how social media played a role in her being trafficked and horrible things happened to her. And you're hearing directly from the teenagers. You're hearing from our lawmakers like Rand Paul. And I think that altogether it gives this picture for the first time of everything our kids are facing today and how we have a responsibility as the adults in the room to step in and stop this before we head down a road that we can't turn around from.
I'm happy to see some states, my home state of Arkansas, we have this phenomenal young governor there, and she's really terrific.
I heard she's pretty good.
She's real good.
They do say she has this, what's that last name?
I don't know. She's got some connection to politics in the past. She always says she wants to be a better governor than her dad, and I always say, it's a low bar, kiddo. I'm pretty sure you're going to clear it. But she has started an initiative to have schools who will take these smartphone devices away from students during the school day, put them in a place where they can't access them, so they're not playing on their phones all day, missing class, and doing things that what you've just described, which is really destructive to a child's sense of self-worth when they're bullied and told horrible things. Is this something we can kind of look forward to seeing? That? And I want to say, I don't think it's political. I mean, I really don't.
It shouldn't be.
Because I think Democrats love their children. They may not know how all the time, and maybe some Republicans don't either. But if you love your kid, you don't want to see something that destroys them. So I'm grateful that your approach is not about, hey, we just want to tell the conservatives something. We want to tell American parents something about what's happening to their kids.
That's absolutely right. Let's take, for instance, the issue of the inappropriate books in many schools.
Yeah.
There's these books that are absolutely pornographic. And I had a conversation with a set of parents who do not agree with me. In fact, I say conversation, that's a nice way of putting what it started with. Okay, it was not a conversation, it was more them yelling at me. And, I said, listen, I'm going to ask you one thing. Will you watch a 4-minute clip? And they agreed to watch a 4-minute clip. I pull it up on my phone, and it's 4 minutes from the film where we show the books. We got them from schools. We show them what grade had access to them. We show them exactly what happened. And the parents pushing back against it, and then the kids talking about what they saw in their schools and how they were introduced to these topics that are just grossly inappropriate
Yeah.
for the very first time. They watched the clip. At the end of it, they said they were wrong. They apologized, shook my hand, and they said, can you send me that clip? We need to show our friends. This has the ability to change hearts and minds, and policy as well. Like, there's so many ways for us to protect our kids and do better than we are doing, like what your daughter's doing. And, you know, I think every state should be adopting policies like that. Because here's the thing. We can put it a nice way and say, you know, oh, they're going to have these kids no longer fooling around at school, but it's much worse than that. You've got kids who are buying drugs on their phone. You've got kids who are in the bathroom taking very inappropriate photos, and then that gets used as sextortion against them. And then that kid is in some horrible cycle that leads to depression and then, God forbid, suicide. These policies save lives. And so more states need to adopt it. And a lot of parents, you see, they don't know where to start. They don't know what they can do. And so we did something very important at the end of this. We put together, we always joked, we didn't get a manual when our kids were born. We've got 3, we're on number 4 now, and we're like, there's no manual. So we wrote a manual, a literal manual, and it's free. You go to freedomforever.us, there's a free Parenting Revolution manual, and it gives you all of these different ways you can make a difference in changing not only your own kid's life, but kids in your community. And it's a start for people to be able to say, I have these things on the checklist that I can actually do to make a real difference. And I think if you look at what we've done with DEI and wokeness in this film, nobody can tell me that one person doesn't make a difference, because everybody who's been involved in these projects was the reason they were a success. So every single person, every parent has something they can do, and grandparent, okay? The grandparents are powerful. They have something they can do to make a difference.
You have proven that one person can make a difference. And you and your wife, 2 people, have made a huge difference in this country. Robbie Starbuck, thank you for being here. And my guess is you want to learn more about the movie and see the war on children. And you can simply go to Huckabee.tv, click on Robbie's guest page. We have a lot of things that we can connect you to with Robbie Starbuck, and I hope you will say a prayer and thank God for this man and what he's doing. Well, these days, it may seem like...
Welcome back. Okay, so look at, you know, it doesn't get any simpler than that. You know what I mean? We've, you know, people like me have been talking about this for years, and you know, we're going to have to get out of our bubbles, folks. This is the perfect storm. When you take the culmination of, as he was talking about, you know, from COVID shutdowns to all this social media and all this woke infiltration and all the obfuscation of the truth and what's really happening in the schools, and no one really knows. We've even had the Department of Justice call people who spoke out, parents and citizens who spoke out at school committee meetings, that they're domestic terrorists. And we got to wake up. It's happening in Danvers. It's happening in this state. It's happening across the nation. And people are waking up and they're saying no. Okay, so where are our parents? Where are our leaders? I don't know. Okay, so again, it's the perfect storm. Things are happening, and we got age and developmentally inappropriate things going on in the schools with our kids right now. And the social media is just really, really bad. You know, he kind of alluded to it, but you know, when we were young and foolish, we did a lot of stupid things. But now, it was, you know, people would say, oh yeah, and it's just lost in history, in the dust of history, because. But now that everyone's videotaping everything, and it never goes away. You do one stupid thing, and people just mock and ridicule you for the rest of your life, for as long as that thing never ends. So kids do not have the mental capacity and the understanding to not do all this stupid stuff and put it out on Facebook and all these social medias. And that's why there's such an increase in suicide, between the drugs and the social pressures and the social media stupidity and the bullying. It's just really bullying and mocking and teasing, bullying. It all winds up, and the kids are suffering. Your kids are suffering. You better find out what's going on in these sacred halls of education and wake up. But hey, Lord have mercy on us all. God bless these kids. And the teachers and everyone inside the belly of the beast should wake up. I've had talks with teachers, and it's like, yeah, they know it's all wrong, but they can't say anything because they got to keep their job, or they'll lose their job, and It's just pathetic. It's just pathetic. So, all right, the next video, changing gears a little, but again, it's the same thing. You got to get out of your bubble. You know, Donald Trump was on the Gutfeld show, so we're going to play a good 27 minutes of his show. Okay, we got a couple. And I just want you would think Donald Trump is the devil incarnate when you listen to the fake news and everything else, but he's just a regular guy, maybe even more so. But because of all this brainwashing and propaganda over and over again, when you listen to the mainstream media, 100% of the reports of Biden and Harris are positive, and they're like glorious, miraculous, divine from heaven. And 98.8% of everything said about Donald Trump is negative. He's a demon from hell. That's what we call brainwashing when you're getting those disparities. So if you've been brainwashed, you have to get out of your bubble, folks. Okay, so let's just watch Donald Trump, the real Donald Trump, for about 27 minutes and joke and laugh and have a little fun. Look at the other side. It's coming your way. Hey, hey, it's video of the day.
Celebs can't quit Donald Trump. Roll it.
You thought about the possibility he might use the power of the federal government against you personally?
Yeah, I have, but I'm confident in the fact that he's coming after you first.
Clooney should get out of politics and go back to television.
I will if he does.
I don't hate the guy. I hate the people who vote for him. I think they're stupid. I don't think I do. I'll be honest with you. I have no respect for you.
You could be president. Do you ever think about anything like that?
No.
Really, never?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't make a good president.
You don't think you'd be good?
I wouldn't really pass any of the things that you have to pass, but I guess Trump did it.
Yeah, no. you would be a Boy Scout like a
yeah. Well, that didn't age well for either of them.
Whoops.
So, Mr. Trump, the thing that I think my theory is that famous people don't like it when their fame is put in proper perspective, when it's dwarfed by somebody with more fame. So they prefer to be on the hierarchy of fame. They want to be on top. I notice a lot of these guys, it's an emotional response to the fact that you're bigger, more well-known. Does that make sense?
Well, I know some of them, and like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and
yeah.
he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. But I was on his show a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a best of. Did you ever see the best of Howard Stern? I don't want to promote it necessarily, but and I was there for just about all of them, the best of. We had good shows. He was good, but he's changed, and he doesn't do the ratings anymore.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to. He's almost finished. Kat, do you remember Howard Stern?
No, but you've been on every show. I mean, you've been on TV a lot.
A lot of shows.
I mean, would you rule out? I'm not saying now, but would you ever rule out doing reality TV again? Like, what about hosting Love Island?
So I had The Apprentice for 12 years.
Oh,
14 seasons, but 12 years, a lot of time. They wanted to renew me for 5 years. They were all set to do it, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to run for president. Mark Burnett, who's a great guy, and the producer and all of the people from NBC, everybody came up to see me to talk me out of running. They said it's not possible to win. Nobody's ever done that. I mean, and nobody ever gives up primetime show. It was a big hit, and they wanted to do a 5-year extension. I said no. That's actually when I knew I was going to do it. And I mean, I love doing The Apprentice. It was so successful. The big question is, did it make a difference? Would I have been president? A lot of people say they created this guy from The Apprentice, and I don't know if that's true because they chose me because of the success.
I think it was your chemistry with Bret Michaels.
Yeah. Bret Michaels was a character. We had great characters.
Yes.
And we learned a lot about, we had Dennis Rodman was great.
Oh, he was fantastic.
And we had tremendous characters on the show. We had a lot of, everybody was helped basically by being on The Apprentice. But I just wanted to do it. I saw what was happening with the country. The country was going bad. And now what they've done with the border and the wall and the whole thing, they could have built an extra 200 miles. I built much more than I said I was going to build, and it worked. I had the Mexican government giving us 28,000 troops. We had so many Mexican troops, they had no choice. They had to. Otherwise, I said, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars that you stole from. You know, they stole 32% of our car industry, okay, you know, which is not, we'll get it back. Don't worry about it. But, you know, I really felt I wanted to do it because we can make our country. The Make America Great Again is such a great MAGA, is such a great tag. And I watched Biden where he was very angry at MAGA. He said, we've got to stop MAGA. And I'm saying, it's Make America Great Again. Yeah, it sort of doesn't work so well, right? Make America Great Again. And that's what we'll do. If you think of it, we have 21, I believe it's 21. They say 16, but what difference? I mean, it's a lot of people, more people than any country could sustain. 21 million people, many come out of jails and prisons, slight difference between one being a little bit more harsh. They come out of mental institutions and insane asylums. They come out of terrorist schools. They come literally out of schools, but they're terrorists. We have people coming from gangs, the worst gangs in the world, MS-13, considered the meanest gang. They cut people up. They don't want to use guns. They attacked two young 16-year-old beautiful girls walking to school. They cut them up with a knife. They didn't want to shoot them because it wasn't painful. They both died. And these people are coming out into our country. And now you look at what's happening in, like, Aurora in Colorado. Venezuelan gangs are taking over the real estate. They're becoming real estate developers. And they have...
Do they get little cards?
They have whatever they want.
You know, like a little real estate card?
Yeah, yeah. They have their little card is a bullet.
Yes.
Mr. President, can I ask you a question? We're talking about the border, not just all the young military-age men that are coming across this country, the fentanyl that's coming across this country.
It's terrible.
If you were in office, would you consider taking importation of fentanyl as a terrorist act? Because if you count it under terrorism, then our Department of Defense can get involved. We give our law enforcement a break.
Correct. Well, and you can even go further than that.
Yeah, I mean, you could send pictures of their mansions to certain generals individuals in Mexico.
And by the way, these are really rich people. These are the cartel people. These are really rich. Look, we can play games, and we can be nice, and we can be smart. You're never going to, I set up blue ribbon committees. Friends of mine, oh, could I get on a committee? They didn't know the first thing about it. They don't know about El Chapo. They don't know about, these are very smart, hardened people. And, you know, I'm setting up a blue ribbon committee with socialites from New York and California. It's ridiculous. And they don't even want to talk about it. They talk about it for 2 minutes, then they start talking about society. The only way you're going to stop this is the death penalty for drug dealers. I don't know if this country is ready for it, but if you think about it, each drug dealer on average kills 500 people, on average. He or she, drug dealer, kills I know so many families who have lost a son or a daughter, or parents even, to fentanyl. And I had a deal worked out with China, with President Xi directly, that he was going to give. You know, China has the death penalty. I said to him, do you have a drug problem? When I first met him, he looked at me like, what a stupid question.
Exactly.
He said, no drug problem. I said, well, what do you do? Death penalty, immediate death penalty. And I said, that sounds... He said, without it, I talked to him a lot about it. He said, without it, you know, China was a drug-loaded country years ago. Other countries, much smaller, would take it over because they were all
wasted,
drugged out with the opium and the poppy, and they had a big problem. But they execute drug dealers. They have absolutely no drug problem. Singapore has no drug problem. And it's not nice to talk about, but it's the only way you're going to solve the problem. You're never going to have... Now, we got it down to great numbers, the lowest numbers, but the wall helped. A lot of things helped. But in terms of getting a drug-free country, you can't have that unless you have the death penalty for the dealers.
All right, we got to take a break.
Taking it as a maybe on Love Island.
All right. Up next, media tools. Think Kamala rules.
A story in 5 words.
Kamala says some more nonsense. Roll it.
Hello to all my divine 9 brothers and sisters. And my soror. It was school photo day. You remember what that's like? You really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. A future where we can see what is possible unburdened by what has been. We can see what is possible unburdened by what has been. Unburdened by what has been.
Well, do you... There's an objective crowd. All right. It's hard to kind of figure out what she's saying. Why doesn't anybody ever ask a follow-up question? Like, what do you mean?
Well, that should have happened in the debate.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, doesn't do interviews. You would not see her come onto the show, I can tell you right now.
We ask her now. Come on this show, Kamala. We'll have a box of wine.
She doesn't like doing interviews.
Yeah.
And she's not knowledgeable about economy and various things, and I think it would be a problem. But you know what? He was pretty much gone. They said, Joe, it's over. You're getting out. And he said, I'm not getting out. You're getting out. And they were very nasty, 25th Amendment and everything else. He got out, and they put her in. And she somehow, a woman, somehow she's doing better than he did.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine it can last, because so weak on people coming in. You know, she's the one that, she was the border czar.
Yeah.
She allowed 21 million people to come in, the thing we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And many of these people are the wrong people for this country. You have murderers, you have killers, you have prisoners. Prisons are being emptied out all over the world, not just in South America, and they're coming in. She allowed that. And I think eventually people are going to figure it out.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the thing is, she's got the entire media doing PR for her. Sure. So it's like no one asks follow-up questions. No one bothers to fact-check her. Emily, do you have a question? You seem like you do.
I do. So, Mr. President, my question is about voting bloc strategy. And it's that we know there are 90 million evangelicals in this country, 40 million of whom don't vote, and 15 million of whom aren't even registered to vote. So what's our plan to harness those votes for you in November?
It's such an incredible statement question, because they're great people. They're 95% for me, but they don't vote, meaning they don't vote proportionally. If they would vote, nobody could beat you. And I have total support from evangelical Christians and from other groups. I'll tell you another group that doesn't vote. Gun owners, they don't vote. The NRA endorsed me totally every time, but they endorse me totally. But you look at the number of people, I don't know what it is, they're rebellious or something, I don't know what it is. But evangelicals, if they voted, there wouldn't even be an election. You would cancel it. If the gun owners voted, I mean, the gun owners are just a massive proportion. If they voted, but they vote like at 16% or something, if the people, because they want to take your guns away, she wants to confiscate your guns. She wants to take them away. And, you know, she's now trying to get out of it. So she had policies that she's now changed 14 policies about fracking. She was totally against for 15 years fracking. Now, all of a sudden, a short while ago, she came out in favor of fracking. Same thing with guns. She said, no, I don't want to take your guns. I don't want to. For 20 years, she's wanted to take your guns. All of a sudden, a short while ago, she said, no, I don't want to. One thing about a politician, they always revert back to where they were at the beginning, because that's what their natural inclination is. Her father is a Marxist professor. I mean, that's the way it is. And he's currently, and I don't know what happened to the father, but we haven't seen him. I'd love to be able to talk to him. You know, Barack Hussein Obama's brother is supporting Trump. There's Governor Walz, his brother and his whole family is supporting him. In fact, they want to make contributions to my campaign.
Well, to be fair, a lot of brothers are supporting President Trump.
That's true. That's true.
Lay up.
That's what we do over here.
It is funny. Waltz is a strange dude.
Oh, he's strange.
He is strange. Him and I are the same age. How does he look so much younger?
No, he's a strange guy.
Strange.
You know, he called up years ago. I was in the White House, and he said, my house is being surrounded by people with American flags. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He said, I think they're going to attack me. But this was during the riots and everything else. They were MAGA people. You know, they like the American flag, all right? And they also had Trump. And I said, how do you know? There were about 15,000, He said, could you put out a word like that I'm your friend? I don't even know him, but that's the only time I ever spoke to him. And if you look back long ago, tweets before Truth, tweets long ago, I put out a statement. He's a good man, the governor. He's on our side. I didn't know him, but I didn't want him to get hurt. And everybody put down their flags and they left. Yes. He said it was a miracle. He said it was a miracle. I didn't want him to get hurt.
Scared by the American flag.
And they say he's not a nice guy. I would have had fun with that. It's called a barbecue. Go outside.
He remembers it, actually. He was a little bit nervous about things. They had one guard. He said, we have one guard at the door. It was the mansion for the state. Then he said, we have one guard at the door, and you have 15,000 people out there. And I'm a little bit, I don't know, they look violent. I said, are they carrying the American flag? They're not going to be violent.
Yes.
But I put out a statement, and they just went back. It was sort of a beautiful thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That's a happy ending, and the kind we like. All right, coming up, Free Thinkers Unite to join Trump's fight.
We got another clip for you. It's video of the day. Hey, hey, part 2.
All right. Okay. Our second video of the day comes to us from RFK Jr. During a recent event while campaigning for President Trump, he was asked what he thought about Trump as a person, and he shared this amazing story.
I've known President Trump for many years, and on 2 occasions I sued him. He was trying to build golf courses up in the New York City reservoir watershed, and I sued him successfully to stop that. And at one point, my wife, she wanted to go to Palm Beach for the weekend to see my mom over Easter, and I said, I didn't want to buy tickets for all the kids, and she said, what if I find a free ride? And I said, okay. Then she said, I found a free ride, and I said, who? And she said, Donald Trump, and I said, I'm suing him. And she said, he told me he knows you're suing him, but it's okay anyway. And we ended up flying down with him, and I had a great time. I still sued him, and...
It's such an interesting story because you kind of separate the friendship from the legal stuff. It's like, yeah, you sue me, I get it, that's what you do. Yeah. But I'm not, like, you want to use my plane, fine. I mean, some people would not understand that.
No, I think I have been able to do that. Otherwise, I would have nobody to talk to at all. Greg, it was interesting. I endorse people, and my endorsement record is very good. But sometimes I'll endorse people that said horrible, horrible things about me. And people say, do you have any idea what he said? And I said, if I did that, I would never be able to endorse anybody. Because when I first ran, everybody was violently opposed to me. So I would never be able to endorse anybody. And I like to endorse people.
Terrible things.
They did. Honestly, you weren't so good at the beginning.
I believe we have the tape. That's right. I'm making my move, Gutfeld. Roll it.
No, I want to bring up, this is a friend of mine has this theory. He says that your campaign is like a pirate ship. You have this eclectic band of supporters that are individuals and different, but they're a pirate ship. But the issue with the pirate ship is every now and then you get a stowaway. So you get an odd person like a Scaramucci or an Amorosa. It's like, when you have a pirate ship of all these different people, how do you have any kind of control? Or is that just the risk?
Well, like the people that you mentioned, I don't know them very well, but the people that you mentioned, they all want to come back. They all want to come back. And when you don't take them back, I don't want them back. Certain people I don't want back. When you don't take them back, they'll say anything. They make up stories.
Yeah.
They make up stories at levels that you wouldn't believe. Stories that bear no resemblance, that don't exist. It's like they're storytellers. But when you don't take people back, and they think of it as a glamorous life, I think, my whole thing, the Sphere, I don't think of it. I just work really hard. We have to win this election to save our country. If we don't win this election, I really believe our country is either finished or very close to it, because we have to turn it. And if we don't turn it and turn it now, it's going to be too late to turn it later. I really believe that.
It is interesting. On their side, they have people like Lynn Cheney, you know, and
Lynn Cheney.
Liz Cheney.
Yes.
No, Liz Cheney's rough, but her older sister, Lynn Cheney, she's a monster.
No, it's
remember?
Lon
She's
Chaney.
chasing us with a broken beer bottle.
Lon Chaney.
Oh.
But I mean, you have Elon Musk, you have RFK Jr., you have Tulsi Gabbard. These are all really strong-willed people.
Great people.
Are you saying he has a diverse cabinet?
Yeah.
No, we have great people. A thing just happened about 10 minutes before I walked in. The Teamsters, for many, many decades, always automatically support the Democrats.
Right.
This year, they refused to do it. And they took a poll, and we got 60% in the poll, in the Teamsters. And they're not going to support the Democrats this year. They're going to, I guess, remain neutral. But that was sort of a big event. Nobody's ever expected a thing like that to happen. They actually took a poll of the Teamsters, of the people, the workers, the people that really do the job, and they're good. I've had many of them work for me with the concrete stuff, you know, the frames. They put up the frames. They drive the trucks. So they just announced they're not going to support the Democrats. They're going to remain neutral.
That individual poll was like 10-1 average from employees.
We had a tremendous advantage with the people. And I think the people that run it, Sean O'Brien, who's the top guy, he's a great guy. But I think they said, you know, how can we support this person, meaning them?
Yeah.
But they have for decades. I think 5, 6 decades. They've never. I mean, it's been many, many years since they supported a Republican or did this.
You're seeing an interesting flip in like where the Democrats used to be the party of the people, and the Republicans were the country clubbers. Since you came along, it's flipped. It's really interesting, and people go, but he's a billionaire. But it's a billionaire from Queens. That doesn't count.
Well, you know, one of the nicest things that's happened to me as a politician is that I get most of my money from people that average $61. Think of it. And that's never happened to a Republican before. It happens to Democrats, but it happened with Bernie Sanders. That would be the best example. But it's a tiny fraction of the money that I get. We get a lot of money from people. They average $61. And those people all vote. Those people, they get, you know, we have some people that'll pay us like $25 a month every single month. They won't miss it. You know, they're very committed. There's never been a Republican where that happened, too, where you get your money. It's called the small money. The small money is ultimately big money because there's so many people contributing. So, you know, that's like a great honor for me.
Yeah, I'm like that. It's something I always sign up for and then forget.
Well, that's
like Paramount.
Can I please ask a question just because I'm never going to be allowed in a room with the president again?
Sure.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
You know, I'll tell you, it's a funny thing because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question. It is the craziest thing. So we have that so-called area. They consider it like a sacred area. And I will say this. I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. The blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, you know, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, I mean, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
Follow-up question.
Also a maybe.
Follow-up question, Mr. President. Follow-up. If in fact there are aliens, would you be willing to put tariffs on them to help us with the economy? They're not just going to fly down in here.
We're going to have more fun because we got questions from the audience coming up. We've got some questions from the audience. They were just submitted. Evangeline has a good one. What is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, that's a dangerous question.
What do we not know
I got a call from a couple of people. Could you please be careful on this show? You're going to have a good time. We don't need scandals. We're leading in the polls. Everyone. We don't need any scandals. So maybe I shouldn't answer that question.
How about this? Do you wear pajamas?
I don't.
Okay.
Do you own blue jeans?
Do you own blue jeans?
He sleeps in the suit.
I have a very old pair that I saw. I doubt I fitted it.
Because we were talking about this. I've never seen you at the beach. We see Biden all the time at the beach. Do you ever sunbathe?
I'll tell you this. I see Biden too. You know, all he had. Somebody told him he looks great at the beach in a bathing suit. And I think it's terrible when you see a president lying on the beach on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and he's stone cold out.
Yes.
He's out.
Yes.
Who can sleep in front of cameras that are rolling?
In the heat. In the heat. You only sleep like 3 hours, right?
Well, I don't sleep much. I'd like to sleep more, but probably 4 hours, 5 hours.
Do you get a good sleep, a solid?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody sleeps well. And everybody's always trying to find the answer.
Well, that's the purpose of this next election, so we can sleep well again. For me, you know, I can't wait that one day I'll be able to tell my grandchildren that the President of the United States stole my seat. And Mr. President, if you're going to sit, oh wow! Thank you for WrestleMania 4 and 5, by the way. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. But if you're going to sit in that chair, if you're going to do the Tyrus experience, you have to do it right because you are the people's champion, Mr. Trump.
Wow!
And on behalf of all the people of America,
that's a good one.
That's the man who makes all the professional ones.
Beautiful, yeah.
There you go. It's a crowd.
No, but this is the real one. This is a real deal.
No, I'm going to give a fake belt to the next president.
We're more used to that. Thank you, Tyrus.
You are the people's champion.
You're going to have to wear that on the golf course for safety reasons.
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, have you ever been fired, like in a regular job?
Well, you know, I went to work for my father out of school, and he was a tough guy, very tough, but he liked the job I did. So I have never experienced being fired.
Mm-hmm.
Fired a lot of people on The Apprentice, but fired a lot of people. But no, I've never experienced it. I wouldn't like to experience it, actually.
Yeah. I was fired 3 times. So far.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we had, it's true. He didn't treat me well at all.
I know, I saw him the whole time. I was like, look at this guy,
early
he's so
on.
mean.
No, early on. And I actually met him once at Mar-a-Lago, I think, and I met you at the ballroom. They were doing a big charity. I said hello. I was very nice. But he never treated me well. And then I agreed to do an interview, and it was supposed to be just a quick. I said, look, this guy I can't stand the guy. They set up an interview, and I said, it'll be like for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something quick. And they set up this whole thing. And the interview lasted for 2.5 hours because we got along. We had an unbelievable chemistry. And I can honestly say, I really think, because I love what he says. He says, look, maybe he's not a nice guy, but he gets everything done. Would you rather have a nice guy where the country goes to hell? But I do. I get it done. And I think I'm a nice guy, too. I like to be a nice guy. But he did this interview. So, and I'm going to take total credit for the show. Okay?
Yes.
No, credit almost equal to you guys. It was just chemistry. We got along incredibly well. And that was it. And then he did a 5-parter.
Yes.
Every night he had Trump on, and he got ratings that were through the roof. And honestly, his ratings were okay, but they weren't setting He got ratings that were through the roof. He was the #1 show of the week. It was the great. And you know what? It never stopped.
Yeah.
So I take full credit.
Take full credit. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All right.
All right, welcome back. Again, I guess that's the difference between, you know, Kamala going on Oprah and Trump going anywhere. That's the difference. I mean, and really, let's face it. If you saw the debate between Kamala and Trump, it was ABC News, and again, like I said, ABC News is 100% for Kamala and 100% against Trump, and he went in there anyway, knowing it was a 3-on-1 pig pile. They fact-checked him, but they wouldn't fact-check Kamala, and it's just the way it is. I mean, if there was going to be another debate, it should be at least something to the effect of, okay, you can have it at CNN, have your, you know, CNN hack who's 100% for you and against Trump, but let's get at least one person who's at maybe 50% or even 75% for Trump. it doesn't even matter because most conservatives, they bark, but they never bite. You know what I mean? If you look at it, the bubbles are so different. The bubbles are so different. You really need to get out of the bubble. Get out of your bubble and check out the rest of the world, folks, because it's not what you've been told. It's not what you've been told. Trump ain't what you've been told. Kamala is not what you've been told. It's propaganda. It's lies. We'll find out. Like they say, November 5th is going to be the IQ test for America. Are you brainwashed? Are you propagandized? Or are you going to wake up and smell the reality of what these issues mean and what's happening in this country? That's all I can say. But I saw that live when they broadcast the Trump on Gutfeld, and just watching it again I still laugh. The guy is funny and he's personable and he loves America and he loves you. He loves people who hate him. Did you see? You know, I mean, and Nancy Pelosi impeached him and ran the J6 congressional hearings and trial all on a bunch of lies, and they've all been fact-checked as lies. They lie, but the media supports the lies. They will not fact-check the lies against the Kamala or Nancy Pelosi or a Democrat, but Republicans are evil from the bowels of hell. Hi, my name is Jim, and I'm a Republican. I got to go back. Oh, where are my horns? Okay, so let's see. Again, it was all video today, so I hope you enjoyed it, and less me, more other people who think like me. They're a little bit more, reserved. Like I'm still trying to remember the guy, David Muir. He is just so perfect in his questions, and he just is so perfect in his diction and his articulation of the issues and the questions and the fact-checking. Yes, Donald Trump, you are wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay. You know what? Yep, we're running out of time, so I'm going to just like to stop, finish off with the good news. Okay, so this is September. Next show will be in October, so we'll have one more show before we vote. But doesn't really matter. I mean, people are already voting now, I think. I think this early election stuff, you know what? I think is funny? Is that we have all these mail-in votes and early voting and everything else because of COVID and everything else. And, let's just keep it going. But, during COVID, we could sign nomination papers and some of the petitions online to get people on the ballot and whatever, but they stopped that. Oh, can't have that because that's the people getting, quick access and letting the government know what they really feel. So now we're trying to stop the gun law they just passed. So we need a petition. We need 50,000 signatures, so we're working on that. But at any rate, enough of the bad news. You should go in your bubbles and do it. But I'm living in the bubble, and like, in Christianity, God loves you, I love you. And let's just close up here with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. Taking, as he did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right. If I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. So that's the full serenity prayer. We only ever hear the first, 4 stanzas, to grant me serenity, accept the change I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can. So I wish and hope and pray that you have courage to get out of your bubble and investigate things other than your comfort zone. Get out of your rut. I got out of my rut. It's tough out there, but We're known by our friends. We're known by our enemies. And, you know, like Donald Trump. I can't, it's just amazing how he still, you know, he's been shot at twice. and he's still just going on. All right, this show is over. See you next month. God loves you. I love you. Have a good month. Take it easy.